Wow, what's an interesting day today, my friends. Ukraine ambushed Russian positions not far away from Tavria. It is the temporary occupied territory of Ukraine in Zaporizhia Oblast. Tavria is not far away from Tokmak, which was the main goal for Ukrainian counteroffensive started the last year. And now let's check out the screenshot. Here you can see a couple of the Russian Ural trucks. And here we have the vehicle, or probably those trucks stowed some of the artillery systems. Because if you look closer, you can see the big object here and the big object here. Guys, unfortunately I'm forced to apply some of that censorship because I cannot show you this image on YouTube, but it's available on my Telegram. Here you can see two of the big kabooms. It happened in a place where those vehicles were located together with infantry forces. Ukraine again used the Himars rocket artillery systems, and they worked during the night time, so the drone, the surveillance drone, was equipped with thermal camera as we see, and the coordination of the strike was done really fast. After the strike, Russia sent some of the reinforcements to this area to organize the evacuation, and exactly at that time Ukraine launched one more strike with a cluster munition, hitting some extra Russian forces. Again, I cannot show you that picture over here. The Russian positions were ambushed around 20 kilometers away from the Ukrainian controlled territory. For this mission, Ukraine used the Leleka surveillance drone. Well, actually, it's not that great drone if you compare it with the Russian Orlan or Zala surveillance drones. The Ukrainian drone has the lower range, but it is smaller itself, so it's harder to detect. We see that without those drones, the successful operation of Himars is quite limited. The last time we saw the big gathering of the Russian armed forces being ambushed by Himars happened in the Kursk region a couple of months ago. That's why Russians are now trying to be more mobile even behind the front lines. But sometimes cases like today may also happen. The initial calculations say that Russians have lost around 50 of the soldiers because of today's strike, and Ukraine used just 3 of the shells, 1 cluster and 2 standard. And here we go with the awesome news. Ukraine tries to counterattack. But before we get to it, let me tell you about something that I use every day. Guys, today I'm gonna remind you about the extra wallets that I continue to use. Yes, it's not just the sponsorship. I'm really now addicted to their products. This is my personal card holder. It is made out of the aluminum aviation material, and it's very light. Extra wallet is just awesome. I'm very satisfied. Also, it is quite thin, so I can fit it to my pocket very easily. Woo! Well, anyways, I've decided to order many of the card holders and wallets from Extra to give those to my relatives and friends. I would say that it's an awesome solution for the gift, especially during the Black Friday, because Extra has a 50% discount just for these days. In the Extra website, the variety of the products are presented, so for sure you'll find something for you or as a gift for your friend or relative. And that comes with a Black Friday discount up to 50%. And if you use my promo code Davydov, you'll get 5% off extra. So use this special discount to have lots of the stuff from them. The feature that I like from Extra wallets is their finding card. As you can see, I have it here. It's very thin, like your usual regular card, so you may put it into your wallet and you'll never lose it. You'll have the location of your wallet in your smartphone. I've decided to upgrade my wallet with this feature. Here we have the beer opener, ruler, nail trimmer, the range, so it will stay here with my wallet. I'm using this wallet for half a year already, and I am very satisfied with it. And now guys, please check out my personal link in the video description right below, where you may get your Extra wallet with a huge Black Friday discount up to 50%. But with my promo code Davydov, you'll have 5% of the discount extra. This offer is done especially for my followers. But again, please check out my personal link, because that is how you support the job that I do here on YouTube. You know guys, that I tell the things as they are, and this product is really good. Extra wallets, thank you for sponsoring this video. And we have the landing here. Nice. Yeah, don't forget to check the link. Right now about this counterattack in Makharovka, which happened recently. Again, the Russian military command misjudged the situation. They sent most of their forces to Rivnopil for attack, leaving just limited amount of the forces near Makharovka. They also thought that Ukraine will move the forces to stop the Russian attack, but it didn't happen like that. Ukraine instead started this attack or counterattack towards the Russian positions. Well, we understand that Ukraine probably will not have enough forces to liberate Staromayorsk, which was before before liberated during the last year's counteroffensive, but still Ukraine shows that in any case it's ready to get the ground with those small offensive actions, but it is possible. This move from Ukrainian side is the fresh one, so I'm still gathering more information about the case. At the same time, we understand that Ukraine is out of the resources to start major counteroffensive actions. For now, the idea is the active defense, sometimes with some of the punches like this one, which may disturb the Russian plans, for example, in this direction, because here Russia will now have to concentrate in returning this territory under their control. And their offensive here is now under the question. Well, let's continue to review the front lines about the Kursk operation while Russia still is out of the success. For the last 24 hours, there were no major attempts from the Russian army to strike Ukrainian positions. They're probably accumulating the forces for one more major assault. They already wasted lots of the armored vehicles and tanks, and they're out of the new tools now, so they need to send new reinforcements. But Russia is also busy in Ukrainian front lines, so for them it's kind of hard to get new resources. Yeah, I'm not saying that Russia is out of the resources. For now it's not like that, but they should transport their forces really fast through the wide territories, and logistics was never a strong part of the Russian army. So for the Kursk region, Ukraine still holds because it is using the very capable forces there. After the attack done by the Russian army from Kornevo direction and from Snagets towards Lyubimovka, Ukrainian command sent 47th and I guess 38th brigade, and those are really capable. And like those firemen, they were able to stop the Russian assaults. So because Russia now stopped their attacks, Ukraine has enough time to prepare for defense, to mine the local fields with more mines, and as we see, mining the fields remotely really works. So the previous Russian losses were actually for nothing. They didn't reach Ukrainian positions. Ukraine has stopped all of the Russian forces on the way with the help of the mines and FPV drones, and without significant reserves of the armored vehicles available, Russians just couldn't continue with their midwave tactics. So for the last week it was a total disaster for the Russian army attacking Ukrainian positions in the Kursk region. From all of the videos I saw in internet, mostly Russia has losses because of the mines. Yeah, our brigades continue to publish those kind of the videos. Also, Ukraine started to use widely the extended range UAVs, able to fly for more than 15 kilometers, and they hit lots of the Russian vehicles. Well, not just the vehicles, but sometimes also infantry, but I cannot show you that stuff over here. And the Washington Post published the article about the Kursk operation. They say that Russia wants Kursk back before negotiations started. But Ukraine is not budging, so the idea for Russia is to speak only about the Ukrainian territories. With the Kursk operation, Ukraine actually forces Russia to negotiate over its own territories. It means that the future goes to bargain the Russian territory too. Well, even though Ukraine controls such a small part of the Russian land, but still it's the original Russian land. And if it is under Ukrainian control, indeed Putin will never sign the peace deal profitable for him. Maybe that's why Ukraine is so oriented in the Kursk operation. Well, it could have been more successful, we understand that, but if we speak about the possible future negotiations, which might happen even the next year, yes, in this case Kursk definitely matters. On the other hand, it's just the opinion of the Washington Post expert. What Putin really thinks knows just Putin himself. And judging on the attitude of the official Russian government towards its own citizens evacuated from Kursk, well, they don't really care. And the Russian citizens from Kursk are feeling it. They even go to some sort of the protests where they actually said, Putin, stop the war, because we are from Olgivka, from Kursk region. We lost our homes and some of the people. It's actually the first time they have the logic here, because usually they say Putin help, but here they say Putin stop the war. Finally, they have the clue where the problem originates. But suffering of those Russian civilians are just incomparable with suffering of Ukrainians, where millions of people were displaced and hundreds of thousands lost their lives, relatives, friends and households. The problem for the Russian society is that they do not hear each other within Russia. So Kursk people understand that, but people in Moscow, for example, they don't care. The idea in the Kursk operation for Ukraine was also to move the war towards the territory of Russia. It is obviously better for Ukraine to fight the Russian army on the Russian territory, because in this case Russia devastates its own territory and there are Russian refugees, not Ukrainians. So let's hope that more people in Russia would think the same as those people displaced from the Kursk region, but the chance for it is kind of low. By the way, later police came and told them to leave this area. Right, about the possible peace talks with Russia, Zelensky gave the interview today to Ukrainian radio, where he said that right now negotiations will not be profitable for Ukraine. He also mentioned that Ukraine is an independent country and no one is able to push it for the bad negotiations, including the United States of America and Trump. Here we have the Elon Musk's reaction on the statement. So that's the speech of Zelensky. The United States cannot force us to sit and listen at negotiation table. We are an independent country. Elon says that the sense of humor is amazing and he put this laugh emoji. So it is his position and he is telling it on his X platform. Well, I understand what Elon Musk tried to say, that Ukraine is not truly independent. Yes, Ukraine is really dependent on the military help from the United States and other allies. It's crucial for Ukraine. But telling it in this sarcastic manner, you know, there is the war in Ukraine actually, and you're laughing about cutting really the military support for Ukraine, because with those words he also meant that the United States will push Ukraine to sit and listen at the table, where Russia would be also presented and they will discuss non-profitable agreements for the peace, temporary peace as I see it, for Ukraine. But you know, Elon Musk may write anything he wants, but he cannot convince Zelensky. Yeah, he has the world influence and influence in the United States, but honestly, if the United States of America would decide to cut the military support of Ukraine, it will harm United States more than Ukraine in the future perspective. They will just appear at the wrong side of the history and Ukraine will continue to fight with the help of the other partners. Again, you know my attitude towards Zelensky, but here he represents Ukraine, and by humiliating Zelensky here on Twitter, Elon Musk actually humiliates Ukraine in general. Also the resistance of Ukrainian army and suffering of Ukrainian people under the Russian strikes. So for Elon Musk, everything of that is just laughing. And by the way, there is no independent country truly independent in the world. As an example, just cut everything of what is coming to the United States from China and you'll see the huge difference. So can we say that the United States are dependent on China? In a way, yes. Why is it so? Well, basically because those kind of the rich international oligarchs had created the massive production of the goods in China for the American market. And actually they continue to do so, and that is why United States are really dependent on the products coming from China. But in a way China is dependent on the oil resources, on natural gas, which is coming, for example, from Saudi Arabia or Russia. Everything in our world is interconnected. But some of the countries see the development in the democratic way, and some of the countries want the total dictatorship, like for example Russia or China. And we are actually lucky that the biggest economy in the world, the United States, is the democratic country. Hopefully it will continue to be like that, because I don't want to live under dictatorship. I think you too. In this democratic world, actually Elon Musk is free to tell whatever he wants to tell, but it's up to us to make the proper conclusion from his words. More about the peace talks under the future White House administration. Well, the ex-foreign minister of Ukraine, Kuleba, says that war in Ukraine may only intensify under Trump. He says, I also think like that. First of all, Putin is not willing to stop it. The second reason, Trump has nothing to propose to Putin, because Putin really wants Ukraine in one or either way, to occupy it or to put the puppet government there and to call it Ukraine, which informally will be connected to Russia as Belarus right now. With this customs union they call it, and they have the common army, so Ukraine will serve for Russian purposes. Well, maybe Donald Trump would even agree on that scenario just to stop the war, to show to the world that he is the peacemaker. Yes, Ukraine now has the puppet government, but we stopped the war. But Ukrainian government and Ukrainians, first of all, will never agree on that scenario. This variant is not possible, and the conflict of these interests is just unsolvable, and the only outcome of this war will be the defeat of one side, Russia or Ukraine. The stakes are so high that it's just impossible to negotiate. Well, Ukraine, if it negotiates right now, as Zelensky says, it will bring us to the temporary peace, just temporary. Russia will strike Ukraine once again. It happened already before during the Minsk agreements, and by the way, Russia is saying that they don't need the Minsk agreements any longer. They'll continue the war. Why is everyone calm about pushing Russia for peace and not Ukraine in this case? Now, I'm sure that Ukraine will not be left alone in the war against Russia. Still, there are other allies like, for example, United Kingdom, and they open one more factory to produce M777 artillery systems, and they will deliver those to Ukraine. Ukraine is also evolving in drone production. For example, there is the new generation of the FPV drones, which are flying on their own using the machine vision, and Russians cannot jam those. And believe me, the drones really matter right now. Sometimes they matter even more than artillery or tanks. The effectiveness of this weaponry is outstanding. So in the worst case, if our key ally, the United States of America, will just abandon Ukraine, it will not cause Ukraine to just surrender. Yes, there will be less military support, and probably Russians will gain more territories, but still they will not be able to occupy Ukraine. So with that possible step, Donald Trump would just look as a clown who do not understand anything in the international politics. You may compare it to, let's say, with the school fight against the bully, where you are being protected and supported by anyone around, but your best friend decided to leave you in the middle of the battle. Then he says that bully is actually powerful. Well, unfortunately, in the United States history, there was the similar case, for example, in Vietnam. Then the democratic part of the country was just occupied by the communist side after Americans left Vietnam. Similar case also happened recently in Afghanistan. And honestly, I don't think that Donald Trump really wants that reputation. Well, we'll see how it goes. There's lots of the speculation about the possible future policy, but the signals I see from the internet and from the articles around are not that bright. More about Elon Musk, there was the big article published about him by Anonymous, and not only, saying about his connection with the Russian oligarchs who transferred the money to buy Twitter. Well, Elon Musk got angry about it, and he says that I'm going to find out who's making these accusations and nuke them. By the time that Democratic senators call for federal probe into Musk contact with Russia. So there is one more big escalation for Elon Musk, and it is just a beginning. I think that Elon should just be calm with his entrepreneur business and not go to politics, because with his unrealistic ambitions and behavior, he will be punished really soon. And not by Democrats, no, Donald Trump will do the job. Really, Elon Musk is not a friend of Donald, and you'll see it in the coming months. So even the big media are telling about the story about the connections of Elon Musk and Russia. It will be interesting to see what RT says about the case. Yeah, they say about Musk's reaction on Zelensky's speech. So they're not telling here about his possible Russian connections. Why would they do it, right? But the other media sources did report about it. I think that it absolutely could be true. Elon Musk is looking for his own profit while conducting the political job for Russia as well. And now in this MAGA era, he is at the high rank, so he has the influence on Trump. But the more time goes, the more Donald Trump will understand that Elon Musk is pushing him for uncertainty and actually for the trap. Donald Trump is not the stupid guy, he's actually really smart. He understands people and he may easily put them down, let's say, at any moment if he sees that he will not get profit from them, or even in this case a great negativity for the entire Republican Party if indeed there were some of the secret contracts and contacts between Elon Musk and Russia. Trump was accused before of the Russian connections, and he will cut everything connected to Russia. So Elon should think about not making America great again with his Twitter, but about him personally and about his security as well. Elon is really angry about the possible leaks. There will be consequences for those who pushed foreign interference hoaxes. The hammer of justice is coming. So indeed, he is well annoyed about this information about his possible ties with Russia coming in the media. For now, we don't know whether it's true or not, but Elon is concerned. As we see, Russia moves, but for today we mostly have the clarification of the front lines. The hotspot is over here in all of those villages. Well, judging on the information coming from our local commanders, definitely something should be done right now, otherwise Ukraine will lose all of those villages, but I would say that it's just a matter of the time that it happens. Well, for now, Russia is unable to achieve its goal by pushing to Uspanivka, but it's just for now. That's why they started their one more attack from this side. Well, Ukrainian army is still capable to leave this area for this hour. In Kurakhova direction, as you can see, there is the Russian army movement. They're very close to this town. As for the Pokros direction, their Russian army moved just a little towards Hrihorivka. And there is also the Russian attack towards the Chasiv Yar. Well, I expect that during the winter campaign, Ukraine will be able to stop the Russian assaults in many of the directions. Russia will be able to still gain the ground, but just in few of the points. Also, I know that Ukraine is now training many of the newcomers. New soldiers are going to fight on the front lines, and probably Ukraine will have more abilities to stop the Russian assaults. My friends, please don't forget to check out my personal link for the extra wallets. You may find it in the video description just below, and that's how you basically may support this channel. And as usual, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.